Welcome to Super Game Brothers and our weekly discussions about HBO's The Last of Us Season 2. Devin, it all comes down to this. This is episode number 7, the end of Season 2.
Sadly.
It's kind of like first half-ish of the game. Because you got Abby's half and then a little bit in California. So I don't know, maybe the first 40%.
So are we thinking there will only be one more season then?
I think that Craig and Neil made some comments recently that they didn't think they would finish the second game in the third season.
Ah.
So I'm guessing we finish like through Abby's portion.
Gotcha.
And then probably to if I was guessing, I would bet it's after that when Ellie goes back with Dina and they have the kid. And then Tommy comes and says, "Hey, I heard that she's in California." My guess is it'll end around there. And then season 3 would be in California. That'd be my guess. That would be a short... Season 3 would be really short, though, if they did that. Because that portion is quite a bit shorter. But, I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, for the season at hand, this episode is called Convergence. And this is the point in the game where Ellie and Abby's stories do converge. And you don't see what that convergence point is going to lead to until you jump over to Abby's side for quite a while. And it seems like they followed it pretty closely, to be honest. There were a couple of subtle changes that I wrote down in my notes, and we'll see if you thought of any others as well, Devin. But I guess, what'd you think of the closing episode? Just kind of high level before we jump into the different scenes here.
I enjoyed it greatly. And was very sad when it was done, knowing that next Sunday I will be staring at a blank screen.
I'm just going to watch.
For an hour.
You're going to find on YouTube the HBO letters on the static and just stare at that for an hour and a half.
Yes, for 2 years.
Yeah, that is a sad feeling when, like, you're really excited for a show and it's going to be gone for a while. Especially, like, this show seems like it's taking a long time for them to make. I hope that they can do this next season faster. But I have to think at, like, the earliest, it could be out, like, in a year and a half. Like, towards the end of 2026. But I bet it's, like, early 2027. I don't know. It just seems like forever away.
It really does, yes. But time always flies. You know, you think it's far, and all of a sudden someone tells you, "Did you know The Last of Us comes out next week?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that."
I'm 60 years old next week. Yeah, you're going to get that Switch 2 next week, and then all of a sudden, you're going to play it for 2 straight years till the show comes out.
I hope I play it for 2 straight years and not for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. But cool. Well, I also liked the episode. I thought it, again, followed the game very closely, and I think it sets up for a fun third season. I don't know that I have much else to say than that. I thought it was solid. Some interesting changes, but I think I liked all the changes except for one, which we'll get to towards the end. And I don't know that I hate it. I just don't know that I understand why they made one of the changes. But anyways, last week's episode, Devin, it was Memory Lane with Joel. I think everyone kind of universally loves that episode. It's a good one. Pedro Pascal, you know, he can carry a TV screen. So that was a fun episode. So jumping back into this, it's been a couple weeks since we saw Ellie confront Nora underground in the red lighting and smack her a bunch with the lead pipe. And then she went off to torture and kill Nora. And Dina got shot in the leg with an arrow, which isn't in the game. But I don't mind this change because it seems like Dina is like less far along in her pregnancy, kind of, in the show. So she's not quite as sick as she was like in the game where she's like, I need to stay here at the theater.
Yeah, something needed to cause her to stay there.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess.
Yeah. And that is the opening scene, is Dina and Jesse trying to figure out what to do with his arrow, and he has to push it through the other side of her leg. That would be brutal. And she doesn't take the whiskey Probably
Mm-hmm.
Jesse's first hint there that why would she do that? Because she has had lots of alcohol in her life. But anyways, I like that scene. Again, a slight change from the game, but I like that change. Like you said, it has to keep her at the theater, and she seems more capable at this point than in the game where she was pretty sick and just needed to kind of hunker down. Then Ellie comes back a couple minutes later, kind of walks past Jesse pretty quick and goes in, talks to Dina, wakes her up, um, tells her what she did to Nora, and tells her, I think for the first time, that's what, at least what it seemed like. I don't remember her mentioning this before, why Abby and her group killed Joel. So about everything that happened in Salt Lake City. I was, you could kind of tell that was an important moment because Dina seemed like immediately pretty, I don't know the right word, like it made her become like distant, like fast, like maybe even frustrated or mad. But and I can't remember in the game because it's been a little bit since I've played it. I actually just bought the like $10 upgrade for the what they have so many versions at this point. The Last of Us Part 2 remastered, I guess is what it is. Um, and so I'm planning to play it again soon. I think my wife wants to actually play it with me, which would be kind
Oh,
of crazy.
that's cool.
Because she wants to know what happened. She doesn't want to wait till 2027. But I can't remember in the game when Ellie tells Dina that about Salt Lake City. So maybe it is in the same moment. Because there is a very similar scene with like her taking her shirt off and she has all the bruises and stuff on her back. But yeah, good scene. Any other thoughts you had about that one, Devin? It's pretty straightforward at that point, unless you can remember when Ellie told Dina, but I
No,
could
I
not remember.
cannot.
Yeah.
Um,
The note I wrote down was Dina looks pissed.
yeah, she did. She did look a little mad. She asked her a question like, "Did you know? So did you know where they were?" And I don't know what she was referring to,
Dina asked Ellie that.
unless I just made that up in my head.
Did you know where they were?
She like dived
Interesting.
in a little deeper after Ellie told
Yeah.
her the information. She did look mad, and then she
Uh-huh.
asked her a question, and I was like, I don't understand what
Interesting.
she's meaning.
Yeah, I didn't catch that question, but it doesn't make sense to me now.
No,
So
maybe she didn't ask it. Anyways.
and then it kind of it goes to nighttime. They go to sleep, and it jumps to Seattle day 3. So they wake up. Ellie and Jesse are getting packed up to leave because they're going to go rendezvous with Tommy. At kind of like a place that Tommy and Jesse had decided that they would meet back up if they got separated or whatever. Dina gives Ellie her bracelet
For good luck.
for good luck.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jesse's getting even more of the vibes like, hey, what's going on here? That's my bracelet.
Oh, was it his bracelet?
It probably wasn't.
Yeah, he's getting a little jealous, I think. Well, no, actually, from what he said, he talks about Dina said, I love her, but not like you do.
Yeah.
So maybe he's not jealous. He's just noticing things and he tells her, I'm not stupid.
Yeah, he does. Yep. Yeah, or he might have even said like, "I'm stupid, but I'm not blind," or something like that.
Mm.
Like I can't remember his exact wording, but basically like you guys are being ultra obvious. Um, I really like Jesse. I think he's a great character in the game, and I think he's played really well here in the show too. My wife really liked him. Um, and so just knowing how this episode was going to end, I was just like, man, this is gonna be rough.
Round two.
Yeah. But yeah, so Ellie and Jesse head out. They what do I write down here? They talk a little bit along the way, and I think one of the more important scenes that is added, I don't think this is in the game, but in the game you have a bit of like action and fights like with Jesse, so it made sense for them to add something like this. But they have the scene where they hear some gunfire and hide behind the garbage cans, like in this parking garage, and the Seraphite runs in looking all scared, and 3 scars. Nope, that's not the right word. 3 wolves, maybe more than 3, kind of corner him, like rip his clothes off, and are like dragging him off to probably kill him. And I think that wolf was the same one that came with Isaac in like the flashback from like 15 years earlier, where Josh from Drake and Josh
Oh,
I think
the only
that was
one to
the
escape the
only one
truck.
that he pulled with him. Yeah, I think, unless my memory is bad, but kind of an interesting scene where Ellie wants to go out and help the guy, and Jesse like won't let her go out. Um, One of my favorite parts about The Last of Us is, as a world, is everyone thinks they're right. Like the Seraphites, like they think they're like a religious group that think that this leader and that um, female religious prophet kind of is like, they think they're right, that she's going to save them and that they should follow her rules. And the wolves think that they're right, like pushing this cult out. And Ellie thinks she's right, trying to get revenge for somebody that killed someone she loved. And Joel thinks he's right, killing a whole hospital of people to save Ellie. And Abby thinks she's right to come get revenge on Joel. Um, and so it's a hard world. It kind of reminds me of today. Everybody thinks they're right nowadays too, but
yeah,
just in less violent ways usually. um, so, anyways, that was a good scene. I think the note I wrote down was Jesse's line. It was like, he talks about how he would do anything to like protect his group, his community, but that kid was not part of his community, and so he needed to stay safe for his community, which is Dina and the baby and everyone back in Jackson. And so um, they're not like altruistic and like kind, or they won't put their neck on the line for people that aren't in their community generally, just because they know that usually people have an agenda, they're going to steal from us or something. And so like, why even risk it? So kind of, I don't know, it was an interesting scene.
It was weird to me that Ellie really wanted to do the 2v6 right there.
It was.
To go against her true goal of finding Abby.
Right.
Because, I mean, you just
and
walk
surviving to get back to Dina. Like, those seem like her.
Yeah, it was almost like they were trying to force feed us that Ellie is a good person and wanted to save someone. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like she's always inconveniencing everybody.
I feel like, yeah, it was that. And I feel like they're also trying to drive home that she's like a little too like emotion driven, and it's just like however she's feeling in the moment like is what she does. Like I feel like I need to save this kid that probably doesn't deserve to die, so I'm gonna do it, not thinking about consequences.
Yeah, she probably save him and then he'd stab her.
Right. So yeah, it was kind of interesting. I see your point there for sure, because when she was about to jump out, I was like, man, they have like machine guns. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, you're like 4'10"
and so yeah, I mean, I think Jesse also had a machine gun, so they maybe would have been okay. But you're right, 2v6 doesn't sound very smart. Fast forward, and we're getting pizza at Costco, but they don't make.
It's interesting
they don't
to see
make pizza
Costco.
anymore.
Is that in the game?
I don't remember seeing a Costco, but to be honest, I loved it. Like,
yeah, I didn't mind
big
it. I
fan
was just
of Costco.
Like, oh, didn't expect it.
And it seems like a place that if the world was ending, it's like a big place with lots of stuff.
It's a massive bunker. I'd go there.
Yeah, massive bunker, and they'd have like, I don't know, what would you have at Costco? Like tons of weird, like almost fashionable, but not really, like pants. And
you just have pants there.
And they'd have tons of batteries, and
and everything's in bulk.
So it would make sense that like that was probably a base they made like early on, and now they've used all the good stuff at Costco, but just kind of still there.
Yeah.
Costco survives even in the apocalypse. Love it. And there's a scene there with Isaac and his like number 2 or 3. I'm not sure who this lady was. We've seen her a couple of times. She was the one at the hospital, I think, who had to seal her son in when like the basement level got the spores in the air because there was so much infection down there. But anyway, she's talking about Isaac and her talking about the planned, like, what would you call that? An attack is a word for it, but there's probably a better word for it. The attack they're going to be doing that night on this Seraphite island. And you can tell they're planning that kind of stuff. But he asks, have you found Abby yet? Where's Owen? And she's like a little confused, like, why do you care about these people? We're about to do like this ginormous, like strategic military, like event. Can't think of military words at the moment. We're going with attack and event.
The event, the situation.
And then he says, yeah, but I'm probably going to die tonight. There's a good chance you might die tonight too. Abby is supposed to be the next leader. So obviously they respect her a lot. And I feel like you kind of get a glimpse of that at the end of the episode too. With like how, like, even though she's much smaller than Abby in the game, she looks like powerful and scary, kind of in her black jacket there when she confronts Ellie.
Oh yeah, she's wearing like an identical outfit.
Yeah.
To one in the game.
And then she obviously wakes up in her like room at the football stadium, kind of like a upper room overlooking the whole place. So she's obviously important there. So I liked that scene with Isaac. I think he's a creepy like leader character, and so it was a cool little scene as well. Let's see. After that one, we get to the rendezvous point, and Tommy's not there. I think it was a bookstore, right? Because Ellie's like looking through the kids' books while they're waiting to see if Tommy comes back, and Jesse and her talk a little bit. Jesse tells her a story, just kind of more cementing his character, that he'll like protect his community, but he won't like leave his community. And he talks about this girl that he really seemed to like have loved and had like a little fling with for a couple of weeks, but even that couldn't pull him away from Jackson because he felt like that's where he needed to be and could make like the biggest impact. So they're just kind of like really honing in on that point of like that's his motivating factor. And I think they hear on a radio, right? They hear like shooting and the wolves talking about like a sniper.
Yeah.
So they try to get like high ground, and they're in the. I love this scene. It's also in the game. They're in like a building. It seems like a pretty high rise building that has like the wall kind of busted out. So from like the 15th floor, wherever they are, they can see out, and they can see what seems to be kind of where Tommy is over on the right side. And then Ellie notices the what's that? A Ferris wheel.
Wheel and whale.
And she sees the wheel and the whale.
Yes.
That was a weird clue. Because she's like, wheel and whale. And then all of a sudden she sees a Ferris wheel and a picture of a whale. And like, would you? I don't know if I would have put those two things together. Like, oh, that's obviously what she meant.
It's weird to me because getting that clue, the person that gave the clue would also have to tell you to go to this building so you can see them both at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
You have to be at like this specific angle far enough away to see both.
Yeah, in the show here, they really leaned into like Nora was turning fast, and so the only couple words she was able to get out were wheel and whale. But yeah, I agree. Like it seems like very unlikely you'd be in a situation where you'd even notice like, oh, there's the Ferris wheel, and it's by an aquarium. There's a picture of a whale on it. I feel like she just would have said the word aquarium, you know. But anyways, doesn't really matter. But so her and Jesse kind of have that confrontation in there where she wants to go where she knows that Abby was at least the day prior and probably still is, or to go help Tommy, who it sounds like is shooting a lot of at people, but the wolves seem to like be trying to like take him out. So he probably doesn't have a lot of safe time either. And they kind of have their little spat there, and she tells him that like, you know, you've been talking all day about community, and then you wouldn't save like the boy who's not part of your community, but like Joel was my community, and that's why I'm going this way. And he says, I hope you'll make it. Kind of rough. I don't like it that they fight so much, and you see like both people's sides kind of like. I think most people will agree with Jesse. Like, it's smarter to go find Tommy, have a bigger group with you, save him, who's Joel's brother. You should probably save him, and then figure out how you can get to the aquarium and see what you can find out from there. But again, I think it kind of doubles down on Ellie. Like, she felt like that rage of emotion in that moment of like, oh, I think I know exactly where she is, and I'm going there no matter what. So we get to a new scene, kind of. She goes to the pier, steals a boat. Kind of cool. You see all the wolf boats going towards the island, which looks kind of creepy. There's a lot of them going, which is cool. And then in the game, she just takes the boat like right to the Ferris wheel, like the little pier that it's on. And right before she gets there, I think it topples, and then she swims like the rest of the way right up to the dock.
But in the show, she swam 7 miles.
Yeah,
didn't it seem like that? It was still so far in the
it
distance.
looked pretty far. Yeah, she crashes and washes up on the island. And I'm like, yeah, how long was she in the water for?
It's a fat minute.
um, and then was it
A
the
scar
the little
sees her.
kid? Was it the little kid one?
Yeah.
Sees her and like they pick her up, and there's a very famous scene in The Last of Us Part 2 that was shown in one of the first trailers. It's when they catch Abby and they drag her that same way and then put her up in the noose standing on the bucket, and you think she's like about to die. And then Lev kind of saves her because they break Yar's arm with the hammer. Very intense and brutal scene. I thought that they were making a change here and they were going to have like a similar thing happen to Ellie, which would have been a very big change because it looked pretty similar to them like dragging her under her arm, putting her in the noose, and they're about to do the same thing. But they pretty quickly cut from that. Like the alarms go off. They say, oh, someone is attacking the village. And then this was a weird thing. I like the idea of showing that there's going to be a big fight on this island on the same night that all this other craziness is going on. But then like the Seraphite lady's like, we got to get to the village. Just leave her.
Oh, I thought the same thing. I was like, this is just main character energy.
Right. Like she had like the creepiest looking knife ever. And
the only thing that I thought was Ellie was pleading her case to that lady and was like looking at the boy like back me up kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And maybe the lady was like, I knew that you weren't really a threat and you weren't part of the wolves this whole time, so we'll just let you go now that we got distracted.
Okay, yeah, maybe. I wish they would have like sold that a little bit more, because they like sell like how, I don't know, how mean the Seraphites seem in that moment of like even the little kids like cut her open. And then like 5 seconds later they're like, leave her. I'm like,
that lady could have literally walked over in 3 seconds, just sliced her stomach, and then went and saved the island.
That's what I thought would have made the most sense in that situation. Like, oh, she seems to be a threat. Take out threat as fast as possible before we go to the island. So just leaving her there was a weird decision. Mm-hmm. I don't mind that they had this new scene in there. In fact, it was kind of cool. But that was just a weird kind of oversight, in my opinion. I don't think they would have taken that risk. Anyways, she what did she do from the? Did she find her boat also on the?
It was on the same shore. They both washed up for 35 minutes in the same direction.
Okay, so her boat was there.
The same shore.
Luckily, yeah, it didn't drift away.
No.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
She gets back in the boat, does make it to the aquarium. I love the aquarium in the game. It's some of my favorite parts.
I like
with
how
Abby and Owen's living there and his boat and stuff. And
I like how she had to enter the aquarium through like the ceiling, like she did in the game. Mm-hmm. I remember climbing up. You have to like break. Yeah, you probably remember.
There, as we're talking about this, another thing I noticed popped into my head. I wonder if on TV they're a little more nervous to do violence to animals, because there are now 2 animals that have like a big emotional impact. Their deaths in the game. Shimmer dies pretty like in day 1 of Seattle. Like a bomb goes off and knocks Abby and Dina off of Shimmer.
Abby and Dina were riding Shimmer.
Sorry, Ellie and Dina, my bad. All these names you mixed together. Anyway, so that's the first one. And Shimmer's still alive. They just talked about her. Jesse was telling Ellie that they found Shimmer in the garage and she's still fine. And I'm like, okay, so they don't want to kill the horse. In the aquarium in the game, before Ellie gets to Owen and Mel, a dog runs at her in the hallway. And I don't remember if it's Owen's dog or Abby's dog, but that dog is one of the first things that you interact with in Abby's story in the stadium. You grab your like breakfast burrito, and then you walk down and you play fetch with this dog. And I'm pretty sure the dog is like with you for quite a bit of this portion of Abby's portion of the game. And Ellie kills that dog because it's obviously attacking her. And so I was waiting for the dog to show up. whose name I can't remember. But it didn't happen. So I had that thought. I was like, I wonder if they don't want to hurt the animals. But I'm pretty sure they had a couple horses die and stuff. So maybe the dog's death will come in a different way. Because I do feel like those were like kind of touching, like connecting moments when you first get there with Ellie and she kills the dog. You're just like, oh, some guard dog. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then 20 hours later, after you've played Abby's story, you're like, no, not that dog. I love that dog.
I never put that together playing that.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was another thing I thought of. But she doesn't encounter the dog. She gets in there and sees the operating table, just like she does in the game, where Mel has just I almost said decapitated Yar. What's the word? Cut her arm off. Amputated.
Oh man.
Yara's arm.
I wouldn't have got that.
And so there's blood and like a saw and all kinds of stuff that they had to do there to save Yara's life. And then she sneaks up on Owen talking to Mel. Very similar kind of fashion. In a smaller room though, I really like the room that she like confronts Owen and Mel in the game. It's like a big room with like the glass where you would like look at like the big fish bowl and like in the background. This is like a small back room kind of by where they did the operation or whatever. That's just a small thing, but anyways. She gets the jump on him, and kind of just like in the game, Owen doesn't trust that Ellie will let them live, so eventually he thinks he's found an opening to maybe attack her back, and he pulls a gun on Ellie. Ellie shoots him. Kind of a strong bullet. This thing went
oh yeah, collateral.
Yeah, right through him, and I don't know. This is another change in the game. In the show, in the game, she does like either shoot or stab them both separately. Before she finds out that Mel's pregnant. This was a little bit different. I think they wanted it to be even a little bit more dark because they have the baby thing here too, and they wanted Mel to be alive for at least those 30 seconds. So the bullet is grazed Mel's neck. It looked like a tiny graze.
It really did. It looked small.
And I was like, oh, they might be able to bandage that just fine. And then like she falls down and the blood's just going. I'm like, oh nope,
yeah, she just like knew she was dead.
Yeah.
By what she was saying. It was actually kind of sad to me.
It was. And that is like one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in the game when Ellie realizes like that Mel is pregnant, and she almost has like a panic attack in that room. Here they make it a little more intense by Mel realizing it and still being alive for 30 seconds and tries to get Ellie to cut the baby out of her. Lacey was like eyes open, like floored, kind of. It was kind of brutal. And it kind of reminded me of The Walking Dead, when Carl had to give his mom a C-section to save their Judith. Look at me pulling out names from 20.
Great job. I don't remember that at all. All I remember is Coral.
Coral. Yeah.
Coral. Oh. That's why I stopped watching that show.
Yeah, Rick's a little ridiculous. Yeah, it was brutal. I halfway wanted Ellie to try, but I'm like, you're just gonna mess it up.
Oh man, imagine being in that scenario. I'd be like,
I can't cut you open. Like,
yeah,
I didn't mean to shoot you.
If I start to cut you open, I will be falling asleep as well with you because I will pass out.
Oh yeah, very brutal. And again, I think just like in the game, this is just kind of to really hammer home that like this revenge on everyone involved in any way, like just has a lot of collateral damage with it, and even an unborn baby. So yeah, I don't know anything else about that scene. It was rough. I mean, Ellie just kind of sits there in like a daze for some undisclosed amount of time until Tommy and Jesse find her.
I thought they did a good job showing Mel's death in 30 seconds because she was making sense for 10 to 15 seconds, and then She just like started saying random stuff and was like,
You're
"You're
doing a
doing,
good job."
you're doing great." She's like, "I haven't even started yet."
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It was sad to me.
It was.
I didn't like that. It's hard because you're so attached to Ellie and these main characters, and then Mel seems less important because you hardly know her. And but then you'll maybe get to know her
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Just with
At
how
this
it's set
point,
up.
you only really know her from the scene where they killed Joel, but she seemed to be the one most against it, even in that scene, right? And so you kind of have a little empathy with her from then, and then she almost has the worst death of them all so far. So yeah, kind of brutal. But yeah, Tommy and Jesse get there. They take Ellie back to the theater, just like they do in the game. And then trying to remember exactly, they have their same conversation about how they're going to get back to Jackson. And I think just like in the game, Ellie says, so she just gets to live. Talking about Abby, and I think they say it the same way, like, "Yep, are you going to be okay with that?" or something. And
She's like, "I'll have to accept it."
yeah. Mm-hmm. And she has a nice last tender moment with Jesse, telling him thanks for coming back for me. And
Yeah, she said you're a good person, and earlier, she was saying he wasn't a good person, and but also he was saying like, I can't. I basically got to be careful. I can't die. I've
yeah,
got to get my child out of this place, basically.
yeah,
Which was he didn't do.
yeah, it was kind of rough. I think the last thing he says to her is like, "I came back because I knew that if it was me in that situation, you would have like got through fire to get to me or something."
He had to
Like
burn down the world or
burn
something.
down the world. That was it. Yeah, yeah. So like a tender moment they had, but then they hear, the wrestling match in the lobby and run up the stairs, and Jesse gets shot right out the door.
Oh, Abby was hard scoping that door.
She was.
She was doing her business with everyone, with Tommy.
She got her foot on Tommy's neck, and she's just pinned on that door.
Just staring as she knew that was the entrance point. Yeah,
yeah.
He got laid out.
Yeah.
Jesse runs in the room. He gets blasted.
Yeah.
It was sad. It
was just like exact same in the game. And it's kind of, I'm glad that they kept this part kind of word for word, because that like, "we let you live and you wasted a" line is so good. Like, so I'm glad they kept it almost exactly the same. Like, Ellie throws her gun, tries to like give herself up to save Tommy. "I'm the one that killed your friends." The one thing that I thought was kind of interesting here is right before they cut to black, "we let you live." I think they did change it to "I let you live and you wasted it."
She killed
she
it.
Points the gun at her. Ellie says, "No, no, no, no," and you hear gunshots. In the game, I mean, there may be a couple other gunshots, but like, what? I don't understand where the gunshots are coming from. I think like,
did you hear multiple?
maybe it's just a single one, but I think in the game, like, Tommy like kicks her or something, so she maybe like fires and misses. Um, but then she shoots Tommy in the head.
Oh, she finishes him? I don't remember that either.
Tommy lives. It like grazes him.
Oh, he lives? So he messed up.
Oh yeah. And so maybe that's what the gunshot is. Anyways, I was just that part, the gunshot, and then I was like, wow, great scene, loved it. But then like 10 seconds later, I was like, where's Lev? In that part of the game, Lev is with Abby, and Lev has his bow and arrow out, like protecting Abby, and like they're helping her to make sure that she's all right. And unless I missed it in like a really quick shot, I don't think I did though. I don't think Lev was there.
It seemed like she was the only one in there.
It did.
I could be mistaken as well. I don't really remember. But I honestly don't remember how they settle this whole thing in the theater and how they just go their separate ways for now.
Ellie and Abby have a big fight. This is
like a fist fight?
You play as Abby because it cuts at the same point you waste.
Oh, Ellie dips behind the theater.
And then she plays like the monster villain, and
Oh,
you
and
have to
she's
hide from
not
her.
easy to stop.
No, she's scary in there, and you're like fighting her.
That'll be interesting. That'll be a cool spot to start the season.
It will be. I really hope they're not changing anything with Lev. I can't believe. I wouldn't imagine they are. I probably just. I wonder if they haven't cast Lev yet.
I've been pretending to know who Lev is this whole time.
Because Lev, I don't think we've seen Lev yet, and I guess you don't need to until season 3. So they might not have even cast Lev. So maybe I've solved the problem. But Lev. So Abby gets caught by the scars. They're gonna kill her.
Mm.
The scars find another wolf. Or sorry, not another wolf. The scars find a Seraphite that's like trying to run away or something, and they break her arms with a hammer. That's Yara. I think it's either Lev's sister or like cousin or friend or something. And Lev is like the younger brother of Yara. And Lev saves them in that scene. And then Abby spends most of her time like making sure that Lev is okay. Getting him out from like the big attack and stuff. So Lev's a very important character, Lev and Yara. And at this point, Lev goes with Abby to California, like afterwards. So
I feel like I kind of remember Lev now. It's crazy. I just played that game 5 weeks ago, and
it's a big, long game, and there's lots of characters. So, anyways, I thought that was interesting. No Lev. But then we cut. I guess before we cut, in that scene, I thought Abby looked scary. Like
I agree.
She didn't need to be big. She was intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think hopefully that was kind of proof for everybody. Like, oh, she doesn't need to be jacked. She can be just like as intimidating in the room, and I feel like she was.
Yeah, I'm just super stoked for who they chose to play her.
Yeah, she's a good actress.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts back 3 days to day 1 of Seattle. Her waking up in the big football stadium, looking down over the big wolf encampment, and kind of the first time you realize that, oh, there's thousands of these dudes and ladies. Anyways, good point or place to cut it, I guess. I mean, you wish that they could go more. You wish episode 8 would come out on Sunday. And
imagine if HBO just like tweeted. They were just like, just so you know.
We got 7 more episodes.
Season 3's already been finished. I'll be like, oh, yeah, bro.
That'd be amazing. Because, yeah, I think because I like Abby's story so much, I think that the audience is going to accept and like season 3 more than they have liked season 2, because a lot of people have had like some issues with the actress that plays Ellie. I think she's a great actress, but they wrote her kind of weird with like dumb writing at times. Like, I'm a dad, what's gasoline? You know, these dumb things. And so some people have been upset with like, why are you changing so much of it? But Caitlin Dever, who plays Abby, I feel like really nails the role, even though she like physically looks a little bit different. She like nails the feeling, and so I think season 3 is gonna be uber solid.
Yeah, super stoked to narrow in on Abby and look at her pretty face. So
yeah, it'll be really fun. So anyways, good episode. I think I was trying to think back on my favorite episodes of the season. I mean, I think episode 2 is like, that's the white knuckle episode where so much happens. You got the attack on Jackson, you got Joel's death and everything, and then from that point on you don't even really see Abby until episode 7.
Just disappeared,
which I'm glad they committed to that. And I feel like some of the episodes were like a little, I feel like it had some slight peaks and valleys. It was all still great in my opinion. There's a lot of like criticism online of like, this is the worst show ever. You know,
I've never seen any show worse than this show right here.
I know. And I'm like, man, they're still doing a great job. Yes, she looks a little different than Ellie. Yes, they wrote her a little bit differently. They added some scenes, took some scenes out, just to change it a bit for TV and make like the story a little more TV. instead of video game. But I generally think they've done a great job with a few episodes. I'm like, yeah, I would have changed that. I wouldn't have personally done this or that, but um, I really liked this last episode. I liked episode 2 a lot. Flashback episode with Joel. Episode 6 is really good. I liked episode 1 a lot. I think 3, 4, and 5 are like the ones after Joel's dead and Ellie and Dina are just kind of finding their way through Seattle. I think those are the ones that most people have had like the issues with, of like, how does Ellie react, and like, does she feel like she is the same Ellie on the same revenge journey? And she feels a little like a slightly different Ellie, in my opinion, but not in like the worst way in the world. So I don't know, like that episode. If I was rating them, probably number 2, then number 6, and then this one, number 7, were probably my 3 favorites. But what were your high and low points of the season, Devin? Any last words before we end this?
I'm just grateful to get a live action version of this game. I mean, it's never going to be perfect. You can't satisfy everyone.
No.
Like I've told you, if a show or a movie keeps my attention, I consider it to be good. And every single episode in season 1 and season 2 did so.
Yeah.
And so we can critique a lot of things, but I think it's a beautiful story. And it's super cool that we're getting more and more seasons of such a loved game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought they were all good. I never, not once thought, I wish I was doing something else instead of watching this.
Yeah, me neither. I was always like enraptured, like, okay, yes, it's Sunday night, it's go time, baby.
Yeah, there was the one episode which we tried to talk about the other week, like episode 4 or something, where I was like falling asleep, but I was just tired. It wasn't because of the episode.
It was like 2 in the morning or something. But...
yeah, super stoked to see where it goes.
Yeah,
I really am. I think it's going to be wonderful.
I agree. Well, that's going to do it for these weekly conversations, at least for probably a year or 2 until season 3 comes out. Maybe if these end up being pretty, well received, maybe we can do recap episodes of season 1, because we weren't podcasting when season 1 came out.
I would like to rewatch season 1 as well.
I think so too. And Pedro Pascal, even though there were some changes in season 1 that I also didn't think were like the best changes ever, his acting is so good, it just like elevated it back up anyways. I'm like, oh, I don't care. I'll watch him do anything. So yeah, that would be a fun series to do as well. And we'll look forward to 2027-ish to when we can do season 3. But thanks so much for watching these kind of spoiler cast discussions here on our Patreon, and they will eventually be just on YouTube as well. Make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us a lot. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one when we get season 3, episode 1. Till then, Abby or Ellie?
Abby.
Oh,
sorry.
Adios.